Okay, so we've played 2 rounds, 2 different games. One on
Google Drive.
Google Drive, where'd it go? And one on version 2 of the game, which is more web-based web app development. Curious to see what your guys' thoughts were.
Well, I like that personally the Google Drive allows us to be able to like take turns being the facilitator more. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
that can be worked out somehow that I'm not seeing in the web one. But in terms of getting up online and getting there's just kind of less issues and getting up and started
Yeah,
with
and
the web
I'll
one.
take most of the rap on that one. I forgot I should have had this opened up to everybody, and I didn't. So that would have, if I had it opened up, that would have made setting it up a little bit easier. But yeah, that's one of the drawbacks we came up in when we developed this was all the macros. So yeah, I agree. It was a little bit of difficulty setting up, but once you got it set up, the next time you play it, it's going to be a lot easier.
Yeah.
Well, the other benefit of the one that I didn't play with was you could build onto it with your own lingo.
Mm-hmm.
So you can go ahead and have team members contribute where they gain some ownership of the game. They're
Yeah.
going to be wanting to see their answers on there.
Yeah. Would you what would how would you use this with your teams? Like, what do you feel like is the scenario where you would pull this up? Besides, just the teams being distributed in general. But what do you feel like there's going to be gotten out of this besides just a hilarious time, I guess?
Yeah, I think if we ask the question, like, why is that wrong? Why is that so wrong? Would be, which one's the worst? Actually kind of throw it out there as a facilitator and let the crowd voice opinions. I don't know. I don't know if that's the way
a good idea.
The game really goes, but
that's the nice thing about this. You can do that. You can make that one of your, as you being the facilitator, Steve, you could have done that to us too and just said, okay, I'm not going to choose this one. I want you guys to discuss which one's the most wrong answer. And I like that idea. I like that idea. It's kind of an interesting concept.
In the retrospective though, so.
Yeah. But I like that idea. That's another good way to get the team thinking, okay, so what's the most wrong answer? Well, you know what the most, and maybe the next time around you may throw it out to them, okay, what's the most right answer of the ones that are up on the board? Maybe there isn't one.
Yeah, I just think that the ones where we had more discussions were better.
Yeah. I liked, so I did a retro recently, and one of the things that came up out of the retro was, I did the one word retro. I'm planning on doing a movie about it. But one of the things I really liked was that one of the things that someone else said about someone else's word was actually not what the other person was thinking, but was very much an issue that we needed to address and was brought up. And I feel like that can happen here too, right? Where you're talking about stuff, you're having fun, and the things that you're not even thinking about, this just having fun and doing something like this that's around agility can give you some extra perspective of like, well, we didn't think about that and we're having fun, but seriously, that could actually be an issue. Let's take that into the next sprint. So I don't know. I think this could help that and just ease tension for me. I don't know.
Yeah.
Especially when you're at a new team.
Yeah, I do like the creativity of like doing the wrong thing. Like how wrong can you make it? Like that's kind of a challenge, but then you got to know what's right. You know what I mean? Like, So having a discussion about what's wrong can also means you need to know what's right about this thing. I think that's maybe,
and that may be a good thing to do too, because when you're talking to your team and you're as the coach and as the scrum master, you're watching the team interact. You can kind of see who's not talking, and then when the team's about ready to make the decision, you can kind of interject and go, okay, I saw a lot of you talking, but I'm curious, Monica, you didn't do a lot of talking. Why? What's your thought on what's the most strong answer? So you can help get the voice.
So the way that I was seeing it, being more of an observer with not being able to participate on the first half, was I could see how your all's interaction and correction, or the way you guys joked about it, or, you know, even like when we asked, okay, so what's Prince 2, you know, that gave some learning event. Where I see the benefit of this game, like you guys were saying, it allows you to know what's right and what's wrong. A lot of times when you're getting a new team together, you don't know how much of the Agile that they know. That they might not have been exposed to Sprint, or even as you guys joked about how the Scrum Masters come and go. You know, even if you got a new Scrum Master, I could see how playing this game allows the team to evaluate the newbie as to, do they know or understand why we're doing it the way we're doing it. So it gives some value for the team to be able to coach the new Scrum Master as to seeing what knowledge they have. But I really see the benefit more from a standpoint of, it brings the focus in on what it is we're trying to achieve. Yeah, the fun part is that we're making fun of it with some of the answers, but we need that humor. You know, making it fun makes people take down some of that defenses that they have, or even when we're joking about throw out the retrospective, you know, gives that conversation of why it's important, or, you know, give someone else's opinion, hey, we should do it. And even when we were talking about how management wants to rush you, you get to see the co-workers' input as to, hey, they might want us to rush, but the right thing to do is to do it right. So it gets that conversation going versus someone walking you on this team and not knowing how to make their decisions, where this allows the team to share their input in a casual manner of what they believe is the right thing to do.
Cool.
Another thing we might try to modify to get the discussion going is to have like 3 people deciding, or half the team deciding, half providing answers and half deciding. So then they've got to talk about which one's the wrongest and why. Not just one person kind of coming up with it because it strikes them as funny.
Right.
I mean, I know that's not the way the game is originally played, but the intent here is to try and get people to talk about the worst one and why it's so wrong. I mean, it's not, you know, in this game, Cards Against Humanity, it's just funny, right? You look at things that are funny, people laugh. And that's okay, but the deeper point would be having the discussions, and that might be a way to make those come out more.
And we started out doing that. We started out having the conversations, and eventually, I got enthralled into the game and started playing just the game, and then forgot to start adding some of the questions. So, as a facilitator, you got to remind yourself every once in a while to step back and start asking those questions.
Oh, I'm just thinking that it'd be better if you had 2 or 3 facilitators. Right?
Yeah.
You had 2 or 3 people doing it, so they had to discuss. They had to actually verbalize which one they liked the most and why, and that would, you know, lead to more people jumping in.
And like what James did earlier, he asked a question about one of the answers, and so that created a discussion.
Yep.
Hopefully, someone does that too.
Yep.
There's no reason we asked.
So rather than just have all the pressure on one person, kind of saying, "Well, I think this one's just funny." You might have a debate. Well, I think this one's funny because this is really terrible. You know, this is the most awful one. And no one would ever do that because it's just wrong.
Or even if there could be some automation in the scoring where everybody got to pick which one they want, and you had some chart that came up as to who won, you know.
Oh, yeah.
That would even have maybe some automation like that of the scorekeeping.
Yeah, actually, especially if you could make it so that you couldn't pick your own.
Yeah.
Right? Then you got to pick the next best one. And then everyone, actually, that way, everyone could join in the conversation rather than, you could actually be rooting for your own. That'd be hilarious.
Yeah, the card game, how it plays out is the person that's got the card, the black card in this case, would be not submitting an answer in terms of how the Cards Against Humanity is played. But yeah, that could be an option. What I really like this for is a test to see how psychologically safe the team is. Like, are they even safe enough to have fun together? Like, is someone even able to give a stupid answer because they're afraid of what the team's going to think of them or what have you? So I think that could be also a good test to see who's playing what cards, who's trying to play it safe, who maybe doesn't feel as secure. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
No, that's good.
That's good.
Josh, you've been quiet. Any thoughts? Speaking of safety.
I guess the thing that I kind of liked about it was the easiest way to figure out information is play a card like I did twice about somebody you don't really know who it is, because then you're going to get an explanation of who that person is. Like the first time I played the card with somebody's name, I was like, that's just the best solution. But then when I was second time around, I was like, I don't know who this guy is, but this way we'll get a discussion going and I'll figure out who this guy is. And so that's why I played it the second time, was more out of a curiosity of who is this guy? Because I knew I was going to get an answer, so I just played it.
Cool. Awesome. Well,
and if you're in the discussion phase, you can always ask, well, I'm just curious, who is this guy? I've not heard of him before. Even though you played it, there's nothing wrong that says you can't ask the question to see if anybody else knows, because there may be someone else that also doesn't know. And it's like, I don't understand the answer.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's all I really have for everyone here. This is our first experiment, and I definitely appreciate everyone who was able to join. I know there was a little bit of mix-up with the Eventbrite and me putting the wrong time an hour beforehand, and then we changed the time, so I really apologize. And for those who may be watching that were supposed to be a part and missed it, my bad. Work on that later. This is the first time I've tried to do an online event, which you would think would be easier, but with all the technology stuff and trying to figure out how to record was not the easiest. But for all of you who are viewing, make sure to like and subscribe. And if there's anyone who's looking for a position, their links will be in the description. And yeah, thanks so much, Jeff, for hosting us.
Yep.
And yeah, and Rich, if you are watching, it's Rich, right? Your partner?
Right. Correct, Rich.
Correct. Hopefully you'll be able to let us know if you get some more people playing, and also leave the link to both Rich's website and the link to the Google Doc in the description below.
Okay.
But yeah, that's it.
Cool.
Thanks, James.